Welcome to Queer in Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality, the LGBTQ Center for Science, Theology, Philosophy, and Spirituality. We're listening to Alabaster Box. You don't know the cost of my praise. You don't know the cost of the oil in my alabaster box. Hallelujah. That is CeCe Winans from Woman Thou Art Loosed 9 years ago. That is around, that should be around 2010, but it wasn't done in 2010, it was done in 2000, in the year 2000. And I think the person who uploaded the video just uploaded it 10 years later. So that's a very nice song, and we had to play it because it is International Women's Day, and we wanted to do what do you call it? We wanted to do a theological perspective and philosophical, of course, and also scientific perspective of the Women's Day, even spiritual, because we are a QSTPS center and we do everything in a queer eye, in an LGBTQ eye. So we just wanted to do something about looking at women in the areas of theology, philosophy, science, and spirituality, in honor of all the women in the world, including trans women. Yes, it's a very dicey issue, but it's reality. And I was just saying in my secular station, Rex Arthur, that contrary to belief, International Women's Day is actually everybody's day, because every human being has a woman inside of them. Not only women, but even men. Men carry an X chromosome that only comes from their mother. And even if they are born as men, they still have a feminine element. Then men also, and together with women, have what you call the mitochondria. You see the 6 women, 6 stories, they're talking about women. It's International Women's Day, and it's also the month for women. And so many of there's a guy, you'll see a lot of videos about women, and it's understandable because of what we're going to share today. Anyway, so I was saying that another thing, men and women carry mitochondria that is only given by the mother. And mitochondria helps the body to do what? It fuels the cells in your body. So that what happens to human beings. We have a feminine part. And then thirdly, International Women's Day is for everybody because we are all intersexuals. Yes, we are all intersexuals. Some of us are more intersexual than others. So hormonally, we are both male and female. And then some people have internal sexual organs that belong to both sexes. And then some people have external sexual organs that belong to both sexes, but hormonally and chromosomally and therefore psychologically, we have both male and female parts. You have your masculine side and your feminine side. So it's your day. So men should not feel, oh, it's a day when they want to bash men. No, it's not a day to bash men. Men have a woman in them, and they should even awaken it when need comes, when need arises. When you want to be understanding and compassionate, you arise your feminine side. When you want to be strong and enduring, you awaken your masculine side. That's why we have both sides, so that we can survive life in this world. All right. So, I had to play that song, Alabaster Box. I like it because it was a song about the woman who washed Jesus' feet. And Jesus said something. In fact, the International Women's Day began at the day of Jesus, when Jesus declared that the woman will never be forgotten for what she did. It will be a memorial. Let's look at that verse from the Bible, and we will see where Jesus Christ where Jesus Christ said that. And so it's a very interesting verse. Memorial. And we come to Matthew. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this that this woman has done be told for a memorial of her. So Jesus said there will be a memory. Wherever the gospel is preached, people will always preach about that lady that washed his feet, the prostitute, the sex worker. These days we don't use the word prostitute because even men are sex workers. So, So a sex worker washed the feet of Jesus. And so people need to understand that Jesus got loved, and he really said this lady will not be forgotten, because people wanted her to be forgotten. What was she doing in public? And that's what people complain about. Why do you tell us about that you love people? When you're a lesbian, you say, oh, I love women, or you're a homosexual, I love men. People wonder, why are you telling everybody? No, it's okay. There are some people who love to say it out. Yes, it's very true. Some people love to say what they do. They say it out. And that's the worship. That's what that woman did to Jesus. She'd have told Jesus, I need to wash your feet, but I can't wash your feet in public because people will say bad things. No, she didn't say that. She did it in public. She even bought the perfume. This is a woman who planned to wash the feet of Jesus, and Jesus knew and said, wow, this was love. Let's see the other part. And Mark also says the same thing, that what she has done shall be spoken of for a memorial of her. It will be talked about to remember her. So I love that song, Alabaster Box, because it really talks about us showing our love to Jesus, and nobody knows how much you love him. All right, so let's go through this video special, and it's called, of course, the theme of the International Women's Day and therefore month is balance for better. So they are calling for all spaces, especially unisexual spaces, to allow to be balanced. There be balance. And of course, you do this by diversifying the spaces and allowing women to 50%. I like what the BBC did. They balanced their workforce and they pay women the same way as men, and they have a 50% division, men and women. So that's very unisexual. That's very uniarchy. I'm a uniarchist. I believe that the patriarchy and matriarchy should be one. They are one. And we are all uniarchs. I'm made up of a patri and a matri. A woman is made up of a patri and a matri. You see, the problem of sciences, interpretation of sciences, people assumed that women don't have patri. They have. The patri they have is the X chromosome from the father. That's a patri. You got a stone, an X stone from your father. That's why a woman has testosterone. It's because it was very much fueled from the father. And then not only that, you don't even need, testosterone is also found in women for different purposes, such as strength. Women push, they go into labor. That is, you need a lot of testosterone to do that. Yes, because it's muscle. It involves your muscles and the pelvic muscles. And most muscles are empowered very well by testosterone. So that's what women need to understand, that they are also patriarchal. They also have patri, much as they have matri. And so men also have patri and matri. So what does that mean? We're a uniarchy. So every space should show that uniarchy. Of course, not all spaces will look very heterogeneous or uniarchist. Like football, you have men's football and females football, women's football. That's understandable. But as I've also said in my secular channel, very soon we are going to have mixed football, whereby men and women form and create teams to play against another team mixed with men and women. And then now athletics, they are allowing trans women with penises to run with women because their hormone levels are the same as that of women, meaning they have no threat to a woman. Yes, absolutely no threat to a woman. That's why, and it's ancient. It's just castrated males. The eunuchs are queer. Yes. And eunuchs, the reason why they protected the bedchamber was because they were effeminate. They had very low levels of testosterone. It's not that they don't have testosterone. People when they say you're effeminate, they think you have no testosterone. No. You have testosterone. It's just that it's low. That's what a eunuch is. And they did that. They would remove the whole organ, and then some eunuchs, some people are born eunuchs. Yes. They don't have a lot of testosterone by birth. Yes, it's there. And so that's what you need to understand. And the next is also, now we have chemical castration. It came later on, and I believe it has always been in the world. It's just that we didn't know. There are some foods, when you eat them, they make you feminine. Yes, and the Chinese were the closest people to that understanding. They have yang foods and yin foods. So when you eat a lot of yin foods, in Chinese philosophy, to cure yang diseases, you eat yin foods. And to cure yin diseases, you eat yang foods. So the problem of that understanding, they were just playing around with opposites and trying to say the opposites cure. But I don't wholly believe it, because a yin food can heal a yin disease, and a yang food can heal a yang disease. So it was just the philosophy they had. But what I'm trying to tell you is that, yes, there are foods that effeminize because of chemicals. Because you have to understand, testosterone is a chemical. Estrogen is a chemical. So when you eat foods that have a lot of chemicals similar to that in estrogen, for a long period of time, you will become effeminate. Yes. And the same to testosterone. Like groundnuts has a lot of zinc. Yes, it has a lot of zinc. So when you take a lot of zinc, you build your sperm and your sperm count. It increases. It's so beautiful. Good. So that's the science behind sexuality. So in this International Women's Day, as I've told you, it's our day. It's all of us, because I have a woman in me. Yes. And you have a woman in you. Yes. So we have our woman side and we have our man side. And women have man sides. They should know that. So they should so don't hate on a man because you're a woman. You also have a man side. So when you find yourself hating, go to your man side. You will understand the man. And when you can't understand a woman, go to your woman side. Then you'll understand the woman. That's how we survive. That's how we become empathetic. And it's beautiful nature. It's because we have both male and female sides, so that we can live together in harmony. That's how it is. If we didn't have the male and female sides, believe you me, men would be fighting women forever. Women would be fighting men forever. Because a woman would have no man side to understand a man. And a man would not have his woman side to understand a woman. And this has nothing to do with sex. This has everything to do with understanding people. Yes. I was laughing at somebody and they told me they just love to have the same sex children, children of the same sex. And I said to myself, that seems these are homosexual parents. Yes, they are parents who love the same sex children. What I mean by that, they feel at home with them. Yes, it's understandable. Humans are more homogeneous than heterogeneous. Okay, enough. Let's not go. We didn't want to go to science. We wanted to go through religion, philosophy, science in a very short time to look at the women in all of these areas. And we're going to be looking at the list of women found in the Hebrew and Christian Bibles. So we're just going to go through a list and then touch. Then we'll go to Islam. Then we'll go to Hinduism. Then we'll go to other religions. And then we go to philosophy. And then we go to science. So Abigail is one lady, and she became the wife. There's another lady who became the wife of David's after the husband died. And then you have another Abihail, and then you have Abishag. Abishag was a concubine. So you see, we are going through this list to see the different jobs of the women. And the Bible never used to mention women, only prominent women, because of what they've done in the stories. So in this story, you have very prominent women. Most of them were concubines, most of them were prostitutes, and most of them were wives of these men. That's all. So what does this tell you about religion? Religion only focused on the sexual roles women played, and very few women came out prominently because of what they did politically. Like you're going to see Deborah. Deborah was a political figure, and Athaliah was also a political figure. She was a queen. So now you can see Ada, you can see Ahinoam, and you can see Achlai, and Aholibama was the daughter of Anna and one of Esau's wives. And Anna was the prophetess who prophesied about Jesus at the temple of Jerusalem. So you see, Anna was a prophetess. They couldn't take it away from her. She was spiritual. She was able to predict the future. And the Spirit told her that there is a king who is going to come to the temple and be circumcised. That kid is the king of the Jews. And that's what she was. She was a prophetess. And there's Athaliah. Now, Athaliah was the queen of Judah. Very funny queen. I like the story. And I don't know if we can read the story today. Let's try and see if we can read the story. It is in 2 Kings 8:26. I love the story. Can I read it? I think I can. So they're saying, Wikipedia is saying this story is found in 2 Chronicles 23, verse 13. I just like the story. It's very funny. Athaliah was a queen, and 13 verse 21, and it says, now when Athaliah heard the noise of the people running and praising the king, she came to the people in the house of the Lord. Okay, that's not a very good verse to start from. I would prefer we read from, let's see, where do you give them? 23:13, Chronicles 22. Yes, but when Athaliah the mother saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the royal descendants of the house of Judah. But Jehoshabeath, the daughter of the king, took Joash the son of Ahaziah, and stole him away from the king's sons that were slain, and put him and his nurse in a bedchamber. So Jehoshabeath, daughter of king of Jehoram, the wife of Jehoiada the priest, she was a sister of Ahaziah, hid him from Athaliah, so that she slew him not. Now Athaliah was a very sly queen. The moment her son Ahaziah died, she killed all the descendants, all the royal descendants of the house of Judah. So look at this woman. She was so terrible that when her son died, she just said, now it's time to rule. And she killed all the descendants. But there was a lady called Jehoshabeath. Jehoshabeath took one of the sons of Ahaziah, her grandson, the grandson of Athaliah. She took him and hid him away from Athaliah, the queen. So she thought she had killed everybody. And so she continued ruling Judah. So Athaliah reigned over the land. And then now when Athaliah heard the noise of the people running and praising the king, she came to the people in the house. And she looked, and behold, the king stood at the pillar at the entrance, and the leaders and the trumpeters by the king, and all the people of the land rejoiced, and with sounded trumpets, also the singers with the instruments of music, and such as taught to sing praise. Then Athaliah tore her clothes, and she said, treason, treason. What I love about that story, that's the best part of the story. She cried treason. And then Jehoiada the priest brought out the captains and said, bring her forth between the ranks, and whoever follows her, let him be slain with the sword. For the priest said, slay her not in the house of the Lord. Game of Thrones. And so they laid hands on her, and when she had come to the entrance of the house by the king's house, they killed her there. See? They killed Athaliah, the queen. What I just liked about the story, she cried treason, and she just couldn't believe it. It was so funny, yet so sad, of course, because she was killed. But I don't know what the feminists of those days would do. Would they? I'm sure they would defend her. And so so Queen of Athaliah reigned, and she became sole ruler of Judah for 5 years. Can you imagine? Israel was ruled by a queen, by a woman, for 5 years. And she was a very calculative woman. But her calculation collapsed when the son, the grandson who was hidden, now came back out of the closet. All right. So that is the A names. Then we have other names. Bathsheba. She is the mother of Solomon. Also a very crafty woman, because when King David was going to die, nobody knew who was going to succeed. Because remember, Bathsheba was not the first wife of David. David had very many wives. So the problem was who was going to succeed him. So Bathsheba, when she noticed that, she went and pleaded with David that let Solomon rule. And Prophet Nathan is the one that told David that that is the successor to the throne. But Absalom was not happy, so he fought against that, but he died miserably for trying to deny Solomon the right to rule. Of course, then Candace is the Ethiopian queen, and she had a eunuch who met Philip, and he became the first Ethiopian that was a Christian, that became Christian. So Candace is the queen of Ethiopia, who had a eunuch who liked coming to Jerusalem. You know, Ethiopians always like coming to Israel once in a while, because Israel's great kingdom, and that's what you need to understand. Okay. Then what do we see here? I was just being shocked and seeing another name here I didn't understand. Cosby was a Midianite priestess who was killed by Phinehas, the grandson of Aaron, because her evil influence was seen as a source of the plague among the Israelites. It's not necessarily evil influence. She slept with a man, and she was having sex with the man in the tent. And so Phinehas, when he had that, he took a spear and stabbed Cosby and her lover in the bed. It was a very sad story, and it's found in the book of Numbers 25, verse 6, 18. Numbers 25, verse 6 to 18. And behold, one of the children of Israel came out, and unto his brethren a Midianite woman in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of all the congregation, who were weeping before the door of tabernacle. And when Phinehas the son of Eleazar the son of Aaron saw it, he rose up among the congregation and took a javelin in his hand, and he went after the man of Israel into the tent, and thrust both of them through, the man of Israel and the woman through her belly. So the plague was stayed from the children of Israel. So there was a plague that hit Israel, and they were crying for that plague. And then out of that, there was a Midianite woman, this woman Cosby. They believe she came and taught them the ways of Baal Peor. So to punish her, Phinehas took a javelin and stabbed her and the man who was having sex with her in the tent. Yes, that is the story. And it's a sad story. And yes, women were killed. So the lesson we are learning, yes, people kill men and women. And that was at least in the primitive world. This was the primitive world. Please never forget, when you read the Bible, you're not reading 21st century fiction or non-fiction. It was primitive times when people had no electricity, no phones. So don't take it so seriously. This is a problem we have with very many religious people. When they read the Bible, they assume it is it is applicable today. No, you don't deal with crimes like that. You don't kill people. That's why mob justice is a very primitive way of dealing with things, because that's how they used to deal with issues. They never used to have courtrooms. People never went to school to understand that you have to go through court. All right. Now, Deborah, the prophetess, and the fourth and only female judge of pre-monarchic Israel. So she was the only female judge. And then you have Delilah, a Philistine. And then you also have Dinah. She was the only daughter of Jacob, one of the patriarchs of Israel, and Leah, his first wife. So she was the daughter of Leah, and she was the only daughter of Jacob and Leah. And one thing I know about Jacob had a lot of Y chromosomes. You see, he had 12 sons. Is it 12 sons? Yes, he did. He had 12 sons and only one daughter. So what does that mean? It means his sperm was filled with a lot of Y chromosomes. And the only time it got X was when he had dinner with Leah. Forgive the puns, no pun intended. So Dorcas is there, and then you have Elizabeth, the mother of John, and you have Elisheba, the wife of Aaron, and then you have Esther, very great queen. She was a great queen of the Persian Empire. She was Jewish, and this is one reason why very many Iranians have Jewish blood. Yes. Not only, you see, genetics is very complicated, yet easy, but very complicated. Genetics is the study of the Y chromosome. It's not the study of the mitochondria. So but mitochondrics, I have called it mitochondrics. No scientist has called it, so I decided to call it first. Mitochondrics is the study of mitochondria. So when you study the mitochondria of humans, you will get shocks, because very many people who have Jewish fathers have either Gentile mothers or non-Jewish mothers. And then very many, at the same time, many Jewish women or some Jewish women married Gentile men, like what happened to Esther. Esther married a Persian. You see, though Persians are still very close to Jews, even if they are Persians. Yes, the whole of Middle East is one. Absolutely. Those guys are fighting each other. They are brothers. Yes. And most of the Jews in Israel, half of them who came from Europe, that's the only difference they have. They have a lot of, but they are still Jewish. Because Jews, one thing they used to do, they always kept their blood. Even if they went to whatever land, they liked keeping their blood. So that's what you need to understand. So what I'm trying to say is Esther's descendants are in Iran today. Yes. Her blood, her mitochondria is in Iran. They should look for it. Many of these women, even Mary, the mother of Jesus, her blood, her mitochondria is somewhere. Yes. But because women, they marry very many men, they have very many men, they spread their blood everywhere. So just like men also spread their seed, also women spread their eggs. So because of that, you'll find Jewish mitochondria in Gentile nations, and you'll find Jewish wives in Gentile nations. Yes. Look at Solomon. He married Egyptians. He married, Even, who knows, he may have even married a white woman. Yes, Solomon was so great. And of course, yes, white people were around that time, I hope. Yes, they were. So who knows? He may have married a white woman. And so that white woman had a different mitochondria from the Egyptian woman and then the Middle Eastern woman. But the sons she has are carrying Daddy Solomon. So genetics and mitochondrics is beautiful. So beautiful. Sometimes I take my time in it forever. I just enjoy reading it, but it's very tiresome and very complicated. But we are making it easy for everybody to understand. Okay. Now let's go on. Eve, of course, the first woman, according to Genesis. Gomer, the sex worker who married a prophet. Congratulations to Hosea. He was told to marry a prostitute because God saw Israel as a prostitute. So that's what he used to say. So Hosea had to marry a prostitute, and when he had children, God would give the name. Of course, this is to those who believe that God was speaking to Hosea. I saw a very good video about Steve Fry and Richard Dawkins, the two atheists of the world, whom I highly honor because they question religion. And Steve Fry said something very interesting that made me even comment. And he said how he asked them how they would hear God. And I got to realize, if you hallucinate, if you've ever hallucinated, 80% you will say you've heard God speak. And if you've never hallucinated, you will say you've never heard God speak. And it reminded me of my life when I was a Christian. There was a time I was a Christian and I never used to hallucinate. So when a friend of mine asked me, you preach a lot, but do you hear God's voice? And I told him, I don't. I just preach. But then when I got mental disorders and everything, I could now hallucinate and I could hear voices. And the moment you go through that stage or that phase, believe you me, it becomes very hard to say that God doesn't speak or you don't hear a voice. Maybe what you should just say is, I hear voices, but I don't know whose voice it is, whether it's God's or whatever. So I'm just trying to show you the difference between someone who hallucinates and someone who doesn't hallucinate. Very understandable. Okay, let's look at Hagar. Hagar was an Egyptian handmaiden of Abraham. You see what I've told you? Egyptian mitochondria met Hebrew Y chromosome. So they are Egyptians, and Ishmael carries the Y chromosome of Abraham. So in Egypt today, you will find Jews, but their mothers are Egyptian because of Hagar. So the mitochondria is Egyptian, but the Y chromosome is Jewish. And that's why you find Jews in Africa. Yes, because they come from that line. That's why you find Jews in the Arab world. Arabs, Muslims who are Jewish. It's because their mother may have been Egyptian, mitochondria, but their father was Hebrew. So that's what Hagar did. And that's why amongst in the Christian circles, they believe the Arabs are children of Ishmael. But if you say that, then they are just saying Arabs are Jews, because Abraham is a Jewish chromosome, Hebrew. And in fact, not only Hebrew, Abraham was a Babylonian. Yes, he was an Iraqi. And so his chromosome is in Iraq. Most Iraqis have the same genes as Jews. It's unbelievable. That is proof that Jews came from Babylon because of Abraham. The Tower of Babel, it's proof of the Tower of Babel. Proof of many things. It's beautiful, it's lovely. Okay, let's see other women. Hannah, of course, a prophetess and citizen of Jerusalem, and she was the mother of Samuel. And then you have, we're just looking for prominent women. Huldah, I liked Huldah. Huldah was a prophetess. Yes, very strong prophetess. And that's why I was very happy of her. And Ogla, or Hogla, where you get the name Olga, one of the 5 daughters of Zelophehad, who fought and won the right to inherit their deceased father's property. So you see, feminist issues were also in the primitive world. Yes, this Zelophehad had 5 daughters, and he died, and he had no sons. So the leaders were confused. How are these girls going to, why should they inherit? And the girls said, let's read that, because this is Women's Day. So we need to hear that story very well. So the girls said, no, we can inherit from our daddy. And that's what happened. Okay, let's see what Wikipedia tells us where that scripture is found. Numbers 27 verse. Okay, so Numbers 27, it says, I'm not going to read all of it because of time, so I'll just summarize. So I like this question from the girls. Why should the name of our father, let's try and do drama. Why should the name of our father be done away from among his family? Because he has no son. Now listen to this order. Give unto us therefore a possession among the brethren of our father. And Moses brought the cause before the Lord. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, the daughters have spoken right. You shall give them a possession of an inheritance among their father's brethren, and you shall cause the inheritance of their father to pass unto them. And you shall speak unto children of Israel, saying, if a man dies, and he has no son, then you shall cause his inheritance to pass unto his daughters. So that became the law. And if he has no brethren, then you shall give his inheritance unto his father's brethren. Now, that's a very interesting point. There's a case of a man having no son. And then there's also a case of a man having no children and no brothers. So when that happens, that you have no children and no brothers, your property goes to your father's brethren, not your mother's. Very interesting decision made by the Lord. And if his father has no brethren, then you shall give his inheritance unto his kinsman that is next to him of his family. So you see, this is how legislation was done in those days. They used to have like till today, laws are written like this. Yes, if this is there, if that is not there, this will happen. So that's what happened. So basically, the sons are the ones to inherit from the father, but if there are no sons, the daughters can inherit. That was the lesson that happened there. Okay. Jael, interesting woman, she killed Sisera. She took a hammer and a peg and pegged his head on the ground. And they praise her for killing Sisera, the enemy of Israel. Right. And you can see other ladies here. Jezebel, very famous woman. Jezebel was the queen of ancient Israel. Very, very crafty woman. Very conniving. And she caused sleepless nights to Elijah. Elijah even said he wanted to die. He wanted to commit suicide because of Jezebel. And God said, I have 7,000 who have not bowed down, so don't you dare bow down. So so Elijah was so distressed. You know what I like about the story of Elijah? I think prophets go through a lot of psychological trauma because he wanted to die. He just wanted to commit suicide. He told God, I'm tired. I'm dying. And God told him, no, don't you die. So anyway, Jezebel was a very tough queen, and she died a very tough death because of her toughness. Now, any other woman who is important here? Of course, the mother of Moses, Jochebed, and then you have the children of Job, and Leah, of course, the first wife of Jacob, Lydia, a rich woman. She was a woman who had was very good at selling purple cloth. Okay, Martha, Mahalath, and Martha, Mary, the mother of Jesus, very important woman. As I told you, we are looking for the mitochondria of Mary. It is somewhere in the world. Yes, a Jewish woman. Her blood is somewhere, and it's still walking around, much as even Joseph, because Jesus had brothers and sisters, so they carry the Y chromosome of Jesus' foster father. It's hilarious, I know. Michal, wife of David, Miriam, Moses' sister, and then you have Naomi, the mother-in-law of Ruth, Nohadiah, prophetess, with Nehemiah. Also, this lady was also very funny. Nohadiah is a very funny woman, and I have to read the story to remember. Nehemiah 6 verse 14. My God, think upon you, Tobiah and Sanballat, according to these thy works, and on the prophetess Noadiah and the rest of the prophets that would have put me in fear. Yes, so prophetess Noadiah disturbed Nehemiah. Yes, she was she caused him to fear because he was building the walls of Jerusalem, and she was not happy, together with Tobiah and Sanballat. So it was very interesting that what I'm just liking is the conniving character that is found in women. They don't discuss it, but it's there. It's like in halves and halves nots. Oh my, I love Veronica. She's so wicked. She's just out of this world. She is so funnily, conniving, even to her own son. My God. And so that's why we're looking for these women their stories are in the Bible. All right, so you have Peninnah, and you have Persis, Rachel, of course, Ruth. Ruth also was very famous. And then you have Salome, daughter of Herodias, and you have Sapphira. She was a liar. And Susanna, a woman who was nearly sentenced to death due to false adultery accusations before being saved by Daniel. So you can see Susanna, she was almost sentenced to death, but she was saved. That's in the Apocrypha. Yes, that's where you get that story. And then you have Tamar, a lot of Tammuz, and you have Vashti, queen of Persia, and then you have Zeresh, the wife of Haman, very funny woman also. She was advising the husband badly. And then you have Zipporah, Moses' wife. So those are the women, and you can see female disciples of Jesus. Let's look at the female disciples of Jesus. Then we go to another religion. Let's see how we have time. Yes, we do have some time. These are the women who followed Jesus: Mary, sister of Lazarus; Martha; Mary Magdalene; Joanna; and Susanna, who provided them out of their resources. These are the rich women who did what? Who sponsored Jesus Christ. People who think Jesus never used money, wake up and smell the coffee. He used money, and he was being financed by rich women who worked in the palace, because Joanna was the wife of Herod's steward Chusa, and Susanna, and many others. These women were just very important. That's why their names are mentioned. So you see how many women supported Jesus Christ. They gave him money, and out of their resources. And even Mary Magdalene was rich. Yes. And who else? Mary, the sister of Lazarus, they were also rich. Because any woman whom you visit their house and she has a house, and I have a feeling Lazarus could have been gay, because he was have you noticed a man staying with his sisters? It's very weird. Like, Lazarus was gay, and because he was staying with his sisters, that's unheard of in Israeli culture. It's not known that a man stays with his sisters. He always has his house, but Lazarus stayed with his sisters, and I have a feeling he was gay. Anyway, yes, look at it. And so Mary Magdalene, also rich. Martha, Mary, they were very rich, because even the lady who poured oil from the alabaster box, some scriptures say it's Mary, the Mary of Lazarus. Others say it's Mary Magdalene. Whichever Mary, they were all rich, because that perfume that was poured on the feet of Jesus was very expensive. Very expensive. And you can see women used to sponsor Jesus, meaning they had the mullah. I'm telling you. It's a very interesting world. When you read the Bible these days, it is so fun. You just look at it's just a storybook. That's what I mean. It's like I'm reading stories. So I don't get so shocked about anything. Okay, that's enough. We've seen the women disciples of Jesus. Now we want to go to Islam. And Islam is very interesting, because they even have, the Quran has a chapter that is talking about women. And here it is. Of course, you can see Maryam. There's a whole surah about Maryam. Let's touch a bit of it. And this is let's read about Maryam. And it's a story of John the Baptist and his birth, and then also about Mary. And I mention, Muhammad, in the book, the story of Mary, when she withdrew from her family to a place toward the east, and she took in seclusion from them a screen. Then we sent to her, there you are, Muslims, we wonder who this we is. This is Elohim. It is many gods. Yes, that is what Muslims should know. Then we sent to her our angel, my God. Our. Not my angel, our. And he represented himself to her as a well-proportioned man. How is that in Arabic? Basharan, Sawiyan. And she said, "Indeed, I seek refuge in the most merciful you. So leave me if you should be fearing of Allah." And how can I have a boy while no man has touched me and I have not been unchaste? That is from Mary. He said, "Your Lord, it is easy for me, and we will make him a sign to the people." I'm so sorry. There's something I'm reading. So she conceived him and she withdrew him to a remote place. So why I'm laughing is that they've not explained the Holy Spirit, because in the Christian scriptures is the Holy Spirit will come upon you and you shall conceive. But here, thus your Lord says, "It is easy for me." And we will make him a sign to the people. So it is not about the Holy Spirit. They are saying here it's the angel, the messenger, Jibril, who came and said, "It is easy for me, I'll do it for you." So, question marks. Okay, so she conceived. So that's about Mary. But the surah that makes me it's very interesting. I like the Quran also. It's a very historic book, but it's more jumbled up. So yeah, the Jewish one and the Bible, I think they are more orderly, but it's understandable. This was written by one man, so that's why. Good. I'm looking for Surah. Excuse me, Surah. Surah S4. An-Nisa. So An-Nisa is about the women. And O mankind, fear who created soul, and fear Allah, through whom you ask one another in the wombs. Indeed, Allah is ever with you, an observer. And who created you from its mate and dispersed both of them, many men and women. So this is about women, and you can see property and the orphan girls. And give the women upon marriage their bridal gifts graciously. And don't give the weak-minded your property. Disaster. And test the orphans. And so this is talking basically about women and how the Quran, how Muslims are supposed to talk about women. So basically, Al-Nisa, and this is where I read this again when we were talking about lesbians, how the punishment for lesbians is found in this surah, which is very sad. And Islam should be reformed not to attack the lesbian women in Islam. I can't remember the exact. Let me see if I can recall where it was. Yes, it is here. It's in Surah 4 where they have put the punishment for the lesbians. So you see, they're talking about women, and marriage. Now, what made me very shocked about An-Nisa is now when we're going to go to the Hebrews, especially the Talmud, excuse me, you'll be very shocked to find that they have also a title that is similar to the Arabs, the Muslims. So An-Nisa is the surah that discusses women in the Quran. So in this Women's Day, if you have time and you're a woman or you're a very good enthusiast of feminist issues, go and read Surah chapter 4. and analyze it and see what it's talking about. Women. Okay, but I want us to go now to the Hebrew people. And in the Mishnah. Now the Mishnah is the first major written collection of the Jewish oral traditions known as the Oral Torah. It is also the first major work of rabbinic literature. And the Mishnah was redacted by Judah the prince at the beginning of the 3rd century CE, in a time when, according to the Talmud, the persecution of the Jews and the passage of time possibility that the details of the oral traditions of the Pharisees from the Second Temple period would be forgotten. So you see how old the Pharisees are? Very old. And let's look at the Pharisees a bit, but I don't want to be tempted to talk about them. The Pharisees, they were founded in 167 BC. So that's what you need to know about the Pharisees. And they were influenced by Babylonian religion. This is why the teaching of hell is very Babylonian. It's very Persian. It is not Hebrew. Okay, so let's not go there. I just want to finish to show you. Look at what the 6 orders in the Mishnah. The 3rd order is the Nashim. Now in the Quran, it's An-Nisa. And in the Mishnah, it is the Nashim. This is concerning marriage and divorce and the oaths and the laws of the Nazarite. The 7 tractates. Unbelievable. And it's very interesting. Why did they put the Nazarites in the chapter of women? It's very weird. So, in the Talmud, women, wives, it's also called wives, is the 3rd order of the Mishnah. Also of the Tosefta and Talmud. So they are talking about the Levirate marriages. That is where you inherit, then the Ketubot and all of that. Nazir is the one who abstains. These are celibates and deals with the Nazarite vow and being a Nazarite. It consists of so that is basically, I'm just interested. I just want to know why they had to put a Nazarite here. And there are very many views. Of course, Samson was a Nazarite. And that's what you need to know. He was not supposed to drink. He was not supposed to do what? He was not supposed to cut his hair. And that's why Samson had very long hair. But because Delilah was a Philistine, she did not know Nazarite theology. So for her, it was a secret. And one reason why maybe Samson lost power was because his hair was the basis of the vow. So by cutting the hair, he broke the vow, the Nazarite vow, and therefore lost his power. So Delilah was just bleak. She never knew she's never been to theology class. Anyway, she was not a Jew. That's why she had to ask questions. Okay, so what I just wanted you to see is how the Jews also talked about women issues, and that women issues also involved the things to do with marriage and divorce. So that is what Nashim is in the Mishnah, and then An-Nisa in the Quran. All right. And now we're finished. Let's now do a quick run over of all the female. So we've gone through religion. Now let's see the list of females in Hinduism, because we're going through every religion. Don't worry, thanks to Google, They know how to save us. Women in Hinduism. And Hindu texts present diverse and conflicting views of women, ranging from feminine leadership as the highest goddess to limiting her role to an obedient daughter, housewife, and mother. The Devi Sukta hymn declares the feminine energy as the essence of the universe, the one who creates all matter and consciousness, the eternal and infinite, and the metaphysical empirical reality, the soul of everything. Oh, Hinduism is lovely. And the woman is celebrated as the most powerful and the empowering force in some Hindu Upanishads, Satras, and Puranas, particularly Devi Upanishad and Devi Mahatmya and Devi Bhagavata Purana. In Smritis, such as the Manusmriti, the position of women in Hinduism is mixed and contradictory. Manusmriti asserts that as a girl she should obey and seek protection of her father, as a young woman her husband, and as a widow her son. In fact, daughters-in-law are not fully accepted in the husbands' families until they have produced a son of their own. So you can see they have given their orders about women and all of that. Hinduism, states Bryant, has the strongest presence of the divine feminine among major religions from ancient times to the present. The goddess is viewed as central in Shakti and Saiva Hindu traditions. And this is very important. Hinduism, and this is why there's Kundalini Yoga, it's feminine. Hinduism is one of the oldest religions. And what I'm trying to make you to understand, they understood the feminine power. It's the same as Mother Earth, Gaia. Yes. So you can say that Hinduism is actually a Mother Earth religion. All right. Listen to this hymn in Devi Sukta. I am the queen, the gatherer up of treasures, most thoughtful, first of those who merit worship. Thus gods have established me in many places, with many homes to enter and abide in. Through me alone, all eat the food that feeds them. Each man who sees, breathes, hears the words outspoken. They know it, yet I reside in the essence of the universe. Hear one and all, the truth as I declare it. So you can see she is singing. Oh, Hinduism is a very interesting religion. They really are super conscious. So now listen to this. In Sanskrit, the word acharya means a female teacher, versus acharya or acharya, achari and acharya, teacher, and acharini, the teacher's wife, indicating that some women were also known as gurus. So women can also be gurus, and women characters also appear in plays and epic poems. And then you have female philosophers, Ubnahaya Bharati, So women had their stories, and Mahabharata, I can remember it was filled with a lot of women's stories. The role of women is mixed, of course. Mixed up. Okay, that's Hinduism. So basically, Hinduism does talk about women in a very big way. All right. Now, let's see women in Buddhism. Yes, we are going around the world on this International Women's Day. All right. Women in Buddhism. Women in Buddhism is a topic that can be approached from the various perspectives, including theology, history, and anthropology, blah, blah, blah. And as in other religions, the experience of Buddhist women have been varied. And of course, I saw a very good video by one of my favorite philosophers or theosophists, Manly P. Hall, and it is titled Maya, the mother of Buddha. Very, very wonderful video by Manly Piho. And so you can see the female Iyama in Tibetan Buddhism. Where there is a talk about women and Buddhism, I have noticed that people often regard the topic as something new and different. They believe that women in Buddhism has become an important topic because we live in modern times and so many women are practicing the Dharma now. So in the past, women would not practice Dharma. But now, because they are practicing it, people are now discussing about women. And this is what you need to understand about the feminist movement. It is because women are now being involved in spaces that were only belonging to men. Even the Catholic Church, everything, the systems were manned by men. Very few women. Even in the Bible, the priests were only men. There was no woman priest. Of course, Jezebel was a female priest. Of course, there were religions that had female priestesses. Or female priests, not female priestesses. So, there were some religions that valued women as servants of the deity, but other religions preferred men to be the servants. Buddhism preferred men. Christianity preferred men. Judaism preferred men. Islam preferred men. So, and have you noticed something? Most of these male priest system religions are written. They love writing. But the Canaanite religions and some of the Greek religions and most of the fertility, the sex religions, sexy religions, they were manned by women or gay men. Yes, that's like the Canaanites, the Sodomites. Gay sex is holy sex. So they had the feminine aspect was always awakened. And as we've seen in Hinduism was a mix of male and female. And so the men, the male and female gods. And but what you need to understand about the Hindus, it was still the male gurus and very few women teachers. In fact, the woman would only teach if she's married to the guru. And that's what you need to understand about these major religions, especially written religions, the ones that have books. Have you noticed? Have you seen the Canaanite book? Have you seen it? It's not there. It's because these were very sexy religions. They had no time for writing. They just had sex. That was all. There is no time for... What are you discussing theology about? In a sexy religion like the Canaanite religion, like Set, like Venus. Have you seen the book of Venus? It's not there. It's because those were sexy religions. The work was just to have sex. You go to the temple, have sex with the sex workers, and you're done. The blessings come. That's how it was. But for these other religions, they were very legalistic. So they had to write down laws, what you should do, what you should not do, where you should go, when someone dies, how we inherit. Those are very patriarchal religions. And that's what we have. The patriarchal religions include Hinduism. Yes, because it's written. Even if they worship women, they have goddesses. They are still patriarchal because of the writings and the orders they give. And Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And now Buddhism. Because they were written. They were about discussions. All right. So basically you can see, are you seeing something? There's not much. There is Mahajapati Gautami, the stepmother of Buddha, first to seek ordination, and Yasodhara, Buddha's wife, became a nun and an arhat, and Sagamita, the daughter of Ashoka, and said to have brought Buddhism to Sri Lanka, and Buddha Mitra was a Buddhist nun living in India. Theravada, there you are, Massachusetts. These are new women who have risen in Buddhism. Okay, now let's finish list of female philosophers. Then we'll finish with the scientists. So, contrary to thought, there have been female philosophers in the world, and you have Hypatia of Alexandria, Anne Conway, and Mary Wollstonecraft, and Sarah Margaret Fuller, amongst others. Now let's go through the list by period. Ancient philosophy, you have Maitreyi, that's Indian, and you have Gargi Vachaknavi, also Indian, and then you have Theano of Croton and Aristoclea of Delphi. Delphi is very important. She was Delphi was the town that had the oracle. And then you have Arete of Cyrene and Sosipatra of Ephesus, and Nicaret of Megara and Ptolemy of Cyrene, and then you have Zi Daoyun, that's a Chinese. Can we see her? There she is. Shi Daoyun was a Chinese poet, writer, scholar, calligrapher, and debater of the Eastern Jin dynasty. So you can see, she was a debater. And so there are women who can debate. And then you have Theodora. Yes, this was the mother of Constantine, if I'm not wrong. Hold on, Theodora of Emesa, sorry. That should not be the daughter of Constantine. All right. Good. Now, medieval philosophy, you have Heloise and Margrethe and Catherine of Siena and Hildegard of Bingen, German. And modern philosophy today, we have Hannah Arendt and Mary Astel and Laura Bassi. Helena, my favorite. My favorite female philosopher is Helena Blavatsky. She was a genius and wrote Isis Unveiled. Whoa, what a volume. And I honor her. Helena was a very good friend of Manly P. Hall also, and very many great theosophists. Congratulations to Helena. I was looking for my female philosopher here. I got her. It's Helena. Brilliant. Now, another one is I don't know these ones. This is interesting. George Eliot, Marianne Evans. Let's read this one. I've read of Eliot before. Wow, this is wonderful. Marianne Evans was known by her pen name, George Eliot. Yes, I used to see this this name, but I always thought it was a man. There you are. So you can be a woman and have the name of a man as your pen name. And you can be a man and have the name of a woman as your pen name. So we can see Mary Evans did that. Although female authors were published under their own names during her lifetime, she wanted to escape the stereotype of women's writing being limited to light-hearted romances. She also wanted to have fiction judged separately from her already extensive and widely known work as an editor and a critic. Another factor in the high use of her pen name may have been a desire to shield her private life from public scrutiny, thus avoiding the scandal that would have arisen because of her relationship with the married George Henry Lewis. So that is what you need to know. This lady could think. She could think. She knew stereotypes. People think stereotypes is a new thing. It's so old. Look at her. She wanted to escape. The stereotype of women writing light-hearted romances. You know, women only used to write about love. As I've told you, the sexy religions mostly have goddesses. Not all of them. Egypt had the god Set, who was in charge of homosexuality, and he was a god of chaos. So God Set was a man, was a male god, and the priests were homosexuals. So that one is okay. But majority of the sexy religions had goddesses. Ishtar is Venus. Yes, Ishtar is Venus in Babylon. It's a god, it's a Venus goddess. So she was the one worshipped, and she governed all types of sex. Yes, even including homosexual. So, and then you have Inanna, you have all of these others, and you have Aphrodite, and you have Asherah. So most of these, what I'm trying to show you is that there's this belief, there was a stereotype that women only like sex. So because of that, whenever they even write, that is all they will write about. So she wanted to run away from that stereotype, and so she decided to write her works under a man's name, and so she picked George Eliot. Very nice story we've got from these sites. All right. Okay, who else is there? I want to see if I know another lady. These are very many new ladies. How is this guy? Let's see, Chris Cuomo. Okay, Chris Cuomo, you see, she has a name of a man, but she's a woman, and she is a feminist. Cuomo received her doctorate, blah blah blah, and research areas. She has also produced feminists. So you see, you can be called Chris and you're a woman. It's okay. And that's what has happened to Chris Cuomo. You know, because I was wondering whether CNN had hired a philosopher. All right. Now, good. Who else is there? Do we know these other ladies? Okay, I don't know these ladies, most of them. As I've told you, I know Helena Blavatsky, and she's a great philosopher. I like her works. Okay, now let's finish with scientists. We have gone through the list of women in theology and spirituality, and then we've gone through philosophy, and now we are going to finish with scientists, and we'll call it a Women's Day. The list of female scientists before the 20th century. In antiquity, we have these women: Abrotelia, Amelia, Acera, Agondike, Arete, Damo, Elphantis, Lais, Merit Ta. Nice. She was an Egyptian physician. Wonderful. Do we have any picture of Merit Ta? She was a doctor in Pharaoh's court. Merit Ta practiced medicine at a time when women in ancient Egypt regularly became physicians and midwives, and all women medical schools existed. Look at how beautiful and advanced Egypt was. Another known woman physician of ancient Egypt is Peseshet, and are regarded as the female physicians. And they even wrote it on her grave: chief physician. You can see how Egyptians were great doctors, and women had full medical schools. It was, of course, like that. The gynecology was done by the women. contrary to what we have today. It's understandable. It's because in the Gentile areas, by the Egypt was very mix of masculine and feminine, and that's what you need to know about Egypt. But in the Gentile, in Europe and everywhere, men were the ones doing everything. So that's a very weird thing. I don't know. The Aquarian age, for those who are very sexist, they believe that it's when men are going to do everything for women. But now you can see there's a difference. Women in ancient Egypt were working as doctors, and that's what we are seeing here. So we want to see the legacy of this lady. She already has a name. A crater is named after Merit Ptah on Venus, the planet Venus. All right. It was just good to see an Egyptian, an African doctor. All right. Let's see another scientist apart from Merit Ptah. Of course, Greeks were also very good in medicine, women. And look at another Egyptian alchemist. And then you have Paula, was a Roman healer, and Pesachet, we've talked about her. And Taput Belatekalim, wow, Babylonian perfumer, the first person in history recorded as using a chemical process. So there's Taputi. Taputi, a female overseer of a palace, is considered to be the first perfume maker mentioned in cuneiform. She was also the overseer at the royal palace and worked as a researcher. You see? So there you are. Even Babylon is not left alone. All right. Mary the Jewess, she was also an alchemist. Telka the Iranian. All right, in the Middle Ages, whom did we have? Now, these are the European women who came in and stole the show. And you have Hildegard of Bingen, German, and Dobedia of Kiev. Look at Dorothea Bucca. She was an Italian professor of medicine, 1390. Congratulations to Dorothea. There you are. Look at her treating a man. And Dorothea was an Italian physician. And she held the chair of medicine and philosophy. Beautiful. At the office of Bologna for over 40 years from 1390. And her father had previously held the same chair. Congratulations to Dorothea. Okay, so sorry, Wikipedia takes you back. So we have to rush like that. And they have put the 16th century. You have, look at these women. Tan Yunxian was a Chinese physician. And then you have Anna Agnes Bloch. You see how the list is becoming longer. Women now are getting more involved, especially in Europe. Elizabeth Walker, the famous Margaret Cavendish of the famous Cavendish universities. And there you have French women. And then you have... Okay, wow, look at the list, so long. Elisa Lucas, Sibyl, Louise Duperry, Petronella, Wang Zhenyi, Chinese astronomer, Margaret Murray, archaeology, Lady Hester, astronomy, Florence Cushman, and biology, Frances Acton, and I hope they're not forgetting our famous Marie. And then you have Ella, and you have all of these women, and Beatrice. Yes, and Vera Bogdanovsvakia, and Ida, and Rachel, Helen Abbott, and Florence Bascom, and Hannah Hammarström, Swedish, and Sophia, And Florence Nightingale, statistician and nurse. Microbiology, Alice Catherine Evans. Marie Boivin, Rebecca Cole. Aletta Jacobs. Florence Sabin, very great woman, if you've read about her. Lisa Meitner. And physics, Mary Somerville. Psychology, Margaret Floy Washburn. Sociology, Beatrice Webb. So, there you are, the women who have been involved in science, theology, philosophy, and spirituality. It is Women International Day, and everybody is involved in this day because all of us have a woman in us. Yes. You don't have to be married to have a woman. You have a woman. You're born. A baby is born with a woman in him or her. And women also have a man in them. They don't need to even marry a man. They have a man in them. Yes. And so everybody is intersexual. Some are hormonal. We are all hormonal. And some have internal sexual organs of both men and women. And others have external organs of both men and women. So, welcome to the world.